They are metal artists. And Angela Gleason and Don Nakanishi, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
You're both artists, and you're both educators.
Yes.
And you're educators at Cabrillo College.
Yes.
So you're going to be teaching, and you have classes that are available, that are still open.
Yes.
To those budding artists out there. And we're going to be talking about the jewelry and small metals classes that you both teach.
Yes.
And you both are a part of a exhibition that's going to be happening at the Blitzer Gallery in September. It doesn't open up for another month, and it's going to probably be the first Friday of September 1st. And this is going to be an exhibition, the working title, folks, so don't be upset if it's different, called Metal Masters. And Angela and Don, you both are metal masters, extraordinary, beautiful, intricate work, and I would say activist, perhaps. In fact, both of you are. Not perhaps. It's a given. And
I would definitely say I am.
And so, Angela, I've got you on the wrong mic. There you go.
Oh.
And so, Angela, one of the pieces that comes to mind when I talk about the activism that you have. I was very struck by a photo that you sent me, which was a picture of a necklace that has the names of people that were killed in a horrendous act in Florida.
Yes, Orlando.
Tell us about that piece and how you were inspired to make it.
Yeah, it was just over a year ago when that mass shooting happened at the Pulse nightclub, and I was devastated. I think we've all been dancing at a club, having a good time, and I just couldn't imagine the horror of having someone come in there and killing so many people. And it was the largest single shooting incident in the country. And so to respond to it, I felt like I needed to do something, and usually I go to my studio. So I started stamping the names of each person, and I wanted to... It was sort of reminiscent of when I was a kid. We had the bracelets for the POWs in Vietnam, and we carried that person's name, and it felt like an honor to that person. And so I stamped the names of each person that was killed and their age, and I got to know each person as I was doing it because I was looking them up and their photographs. And so then I decided to do a fundraiser with the money. I asked people to do a donation, and then I gave the money to Everytown for gun safety. So it was something that comforted me, and it also felt like a way to help impact the world with jewelry. And people who got the necklaces wear them, and they looked up the person and they felt a connection to that person. And they're sort of subtle, so it's a circle, which makes an O for Orlando, but you can wear it, and you can talk about it if you want to, but you don't have to if you don't feel like it. You can just be wearing this person's name and honoring their existence.
Angela Gleason, she's talking about her art piece. Is it called Orlando?
I call it the Orlando Project.
The Orlando Project.
I continued on with other shootings as well because I wasn't quite done processing. I don't think I'll ever be done processing it. So I have several different ones, San Bernardino and the Charleston, South Carolina, and
I hope you don't have to make any other ones.
That would be ideal.
Yeah. You can see her work at angelagleason.net. And you can see a lot of her other work. I'm seeing in my mind's eye some glasses that you've created.
All right.
Tell us about those glasses that seem a little hard to see through.
Yeah, you
can
see through them really well. That series was called, let me think, Identity Theft Protection Devices.
That's right.
And it was sort of based, I have a lot of my work is just about fear and security and insecurity. And so I just felt like I'm really tired of being fear-mongered, and I'm tired of being afraid. And so these were glasses making a joke about that. So you would be wearing these glasses that are pierced metal, and you're supposed to protect your identity, but of course you would stick out in a crowd if you were wearing them. So they're sort of ironic.
Definitely. And beautiful. They're beautiful work. You do highly detailed stamping, would you call it? Is that
stamping and piercing, yeah. So you take a piece of metal and you can saw little tiny designs, which is what you learn when you come and study with us at Cabrillo.
That's right.
I studied at Cabrillo years ago. I took my first jewelry class there and totally changed my life. It was amazing. I studied with Linda Watson, and went on to grad school and came back and have the honor of teaching at Cabrillo.
And if you're listening and you're like, whoa, that sounds really cool, and you want to take a jewelry small metals class at Cabrillo, Art 8A, small scale metal jewelry, is still available. There's still room, and it's going to be offered Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to noon this coming up semester at Cabrillo College. And so Dawn is our other educator who is also teaching Art 8A, small scale metal jewelry. Dawn Nakanishi, you have been a jewelry small scale metaler, maker, since you were in high school when you got your first commission at the tender age of 17. And so something you were born with? Tell us, Dawn, how did this happen? Well, actually, it was your teacher that got you the commission, right?
Right. We had my instructor in high school, Mr. Fagrell, was really the inspiration to encourage me. He allowed me to be his teacher's assistant. He was educated at California College of the Arts and Crafts in Oakland, and he was always getting us involved with huge projects. Like we had a big high school district show at our high school, which was right next to the district office. And so I guess some of the people from the district office came to see our show, and they liked my work, and they approached him to ask him if they could, arrange a commission with me making a piece for the superintendent. And there was just so much encouragement, so much positive, bolstering of a young person that, hey, I could actually make a living out of this. This is great. It's empowering. It's, and I wanted to teach, and I wanted to do more of this. So I had a really good, positive reinforcement at a young age.
That sent her off to the wonderful career that she has today as an educator at Cabrillo College and as a creator. We're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk some more, of course, with Angela and Dawn. But I want to ask Dawn about her recent travels and some of the jewelry techniques, small metal working techniques that you picked up and are bringing back to Santa Cruz for us. And we're back with Dawn and Angela. This is Arists on Art, and I'm talking to two fabulous jewelry small metal makers. And I also see here, Dawn, you're teaching a casting. Yes. And you're teaching enameling.
Yes, we have an incredible studio that was built 9 years ago from two wonderful, generous bond measures by the voters, and so we would love to have more students come. I mean, there have been some state mandates that have made it harder for some people to register, but we have space. We want to share our facilities and instructors at Cabrillo College, and our studio is beautiful. So I'm teaching a casting course. The 8A course that you'd mentioned earlier is our entry gateway course that will allow you to take all these other wonderful courses, metalsmithing, casting, enameling. But this fall we are offering a beginning casting course in the evening and a enameling course, enameling color on metal course on Tuesday, Thursday afternoons.
So I want to ask you both, I find it really interesting that you are doing jewelry making and metal making and art in a three-dimensional space. And most people don't usually think of that as being an activist space. And you both are, would you say?
Yeah, I'm an activist in a way that I outreach to empower the public through we did a project with PAPA, which is a counseling, Santa Cruz County Counseling, empowering children to work with their fathers during Father's Day. So we did workshop for making a bracelet, giving the opportunity to fathers to work with their children, particularly in the Latino community. And I've done these make bracelet workshops all over the Bay Area in San Francisco and Oakland. And what we do is we have like a little mobile studio workshop. We give people a free strip of copper and we show them how to decorate it, manipulate it, stamp it. And a lot of these people have never done anything with their hands before. And they are so empowered. They are so excited and thrilled, and they walk away with something that they made. And I think in our society these days, when there isn't the opportunity for people to make things, it's not the same as when you were a kid and your dad taught you how to do stuff, or your mother gave you a craft to teach. That's happening less and less. And so what we are trying to do is show that by making things that and designing things from your own imagination, that it exercises a different part of your brain, it teaches you creativity, and it also empowers a person. And that's what our division at the Visual Applied Performing Arts is about, the empowerment of art to learn how to think outside the box, to express one's personality. And it's a very important part of being a human being.
You're listening to Dawn Nakanishi. She's talking about her art practice. Tell us about your sabbatical.
My sabbatical was wonderful. It was a year-long sabbatical, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do this. Part of my sabbatical, I went to Japan, and I participated in an exhibition in the Niigata prefecture. And we also had a little tour with some of the people, the Americans, that went to Japan to show in this exhibition. The theme of the show was a technique called Moko Magani, which is a very old technique, at least 400, 500 years old. And it's layering of different colored metals, non-ferrous metal that's like copper, silver, different Japanese alloys of metal. And you make it like a clubhouse sandwich. You have all these different sheets of colored metal, and you make this clubhouse sandwich stack of these different metals. You put it in a metal brace and you put it in a fire, and you heat it up until the metal layers start to fuse together. And just before it all melts together, you pull it out. So they're fused together, but you still have the definition of the different colors. And then with that sandwich, which could be about 1.5 inches, 2 inches high, you pull it out and you hammer it down, compressing the layers. And metal is very plastic. It's almost like clay. And then as you're doing this, you take these chisels and you cut into the surface, which reveals the layers like stratified rock. And it actually gives a wood eye or wood grain surface that is in metal. And it's fascinating. And this technique is unique to Japan. And I learned it from a professor who had a Fulbright grant who went to Japan and studied it from a master in Japan over 40 years ago. And so Americans have since then learned this technique, and I'm going to bring it back and teach it at Cabrillo College because it's fascinating.
I do want to mention to our audience that you are a second-generation Japanese American.
I am.
And so you have some roots, authentic roots to
the aesthetic, yes.
Yes. And then, I just want to say that you sent me a beautiful picture of a jellyfish using this.
Yes.
Yes.
The fluidity and the pattern of the Moko Magani, I felt really segued well into making a jellyfish. And I wanted to show off something of an American, Monterey Bay creature in Japan. So another interest of mine is to make metal look fluid. So I love smithing metal. I love making metal look fluid and soft and floating. And so this piece that's called Monterey Current, which is a jellyfish, it's not a big piece, but it will be at the Blitzer Gallery, hopefully. I'm hoping that they'll find room to show that piece, because this show is kind of morphing together, and we're not exactly sure what space we have to use.
But we will talk about who the current list of participating artists are a little bit later. I do want to talk about how Dawn and Angela are teaching, and how you mention the fluidity of metalwork. As a non-metal worker, I'm fascinated by how that works out. Angela, you're laughing because you understand what Dawn is saying.
Yeah, it's fascinating if you've never worked with metal. It's deceptive. It seems so rigid, and yet if you learn the skills to move it, you can make it look like a flower, a jellyfish, flowing seaweed, even though it's this rigid stuff. And so the fun to me is the challenge is physically working. It's almost like I tease my students that I'm secretly teaching them the sciences through art, because you really you have to deal with physics, you have to deal with chemistry, you have to deal with reality, and yet you can get this stuff to do stuff that's sort of magically, it looks something that you didn't think it could. And so I think we both just enjoy the resistance that metal gives us. It's a conversation. You want to do something, the metal says no, you got to converse with it, coerce it. It's a love affair of metal and just a challenge all the time. I love that.
And you both are teaching Art 8A at Cabrillo College. This is a jewelry small metals class, and the class that Angela is teaching is available on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 12, and then the class that Dawn is teaching, also Art 8A, is Mondays and Wednesdays 1 to 4 p.m. And then Dawn is also teaching beginning casting Mondays and Wednesdays. That's Art 11A, and Art 13A, which is beginning small scale enameling. All of this could be found at the Cabrillo College website, and just search for classes and VAPA, the visual arts performing.
Right. On WebAdvisor, it's really easy to just enter. You can enter the class number or the teacher's name, and see, and the first thing you'll see if you do a search on WebAdvisor, you can see how many spots are available in a class, so you kind of know whether or not there's still room in the class. And then, so the first number is available, and then the second number is the maximum number. So I encourage people to search the website and see what's available and sign up. You apply to the college, maybe it might take a little, I think 24 hours just after you apply, and then you can register for classes. And there's an amazing repertoire of classes, and VAPA is a really great art department.
Yes, definitely.
I've taught all over the Bay Area, and I think Cabrillo offers an incredible
we have
lineup.
Such a great resource in the arts education at Cabrillo College for years. The printmaking, I mean, we could just go on about all the wonderful classes that are available, again, as an amazing resource for our students here, anybody.
I just wanted to mention, if we have time, that I will be giving a talk on my work through the Santa Cruz Gem and Mineral Society. They're going to have their meeting on August 9th, which is a Wednesday evening, 7:30 at the Grange, which is located at 1900 17th Avenue, and there's free parking. And it's through the Santa Cruz Gem and Mineral Society, and I'll be giving a talk on my work.
Then, Dawn, and then there's also an exhibition going on from August 9th through September 4th as well. That's a different thing. That's this.
That's another show. That's a friend of ours.
And so this show is going to be curated by Janet Fine, and this is happening at the Pajaro Valley Arts.
Right.
Yes.
And there'll be are both of you in it?
No, that one's not predominantly metal. It's just a really exciting show.
It's an exciting show that I think people would be interested in.
Quite a few of our friends who teach at Cabrillo are in it.
Yeah, we've got Rose Celery's in it, Andrew Burchin, Victoria May, Ian Everard, Jody Alexander, Kathleen Crachetti, Bridget Henry is also currently exhibiting at the MA in the Lost Childhoods.
Right.
And then also, Dawn, you are a part of the Monterey Bay Metal Arts Guild.
Yes, and we're having a picnic coming up that's open to the public. It's a potluck picnic, and that's going to be at Sierra Azul Nursery, and they're having a outdoor sculpture show as well. So if you wanted to just come and see Santa Cruz County sculpture artists, it's in the nursery, and it's gorgeous, and that's in Watsonville. But our picnic potluck party is this Sunday, August 6th, from 12 to 4 at the Sierra Azul Nursery, and I'll be there, and there'll be many members there exchanging exciting stuff about metal arts and jewelry. And I also wanted to mention to our listeners that the Santa Cruz Open Studios, the 3 weekends is coming up. Many of the people that are the jewelers that are showing are from our program. And I've had the pleasure of having Pablo Kubangbang and Nancy Finley and Ina Hohensi and Steffo Adams. They all started through Cabrillo Small-Scale Metal and Jewelry Department, and now they're running their little cottage industry businesses selling their work. And we have Himani Natu, Julie Packard, Ingrid La Riviera, Christina Cotta, and Lynn Gunther and Gary Lomax, who are already professional artists before, but then they came and they wanted to take classes because they got a shot of inspiration learning new techniques. So I just feel so fortunate to be in a position to work with so many talented people and to introduce young students to metal arts. I think both Angela and I really love what we do. We like to say that we actually infect our students because they want to learn more and they want to come back and they want to, get in their studio and do some art.
You're listening to Dawn Nakanishi. She's here with Angela Gleason. They are both small metal artists, activists, and educators at Cabrillo College.